And now, broadcasting from multiple ground stations across the planet, this is Darkcity Radio.
Hello. This is this week's Astrology on Darkcity Radio, and I have a guest. He goes by the name of Gia, and he's famous for his Pharaoh show and exposing Octagon. To tell you more about it, here he is. Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
All right. Living under Swiss terror of Octagon, but I can't go out alone here because I've got murder threats by the police, and the authorities. So there always have to be somebody with me if I go out. And 2 years ago, they arrested me with a terrorist squad. They put 3 guns on my head, bandage over my eyes like in a CIA rendition, handcuffs, foot cuffs, armed men everywhere. They were masked. So this is complete terror. So that's how I'm doing.
How did you get into this situation?
I found out so many things, and I talk about it. And I'm a South African, by the way. And it started. I did the Pharaoh show a couple of years ago, and it's about Switzerland. So they don't like it very much that I talk about their history. Switzerland was founded by the Templars, and the last of the Crusades was in 1291. And the last stronghold was Aachen in the north of Israel now. And Aachen fell on May 18, 1291. Only 2.5 months later, the time to get back on horseback or on foot, they founded Switzerland on August 1st, 1291, which is still their national holiday, which they celebrate every year on August the 1st. And because the Templars, they were the banks in Europe afterwards for hundreds of years. They invented the check and all that. They lent out money to the kings so they could wage wars. So it's very clear that the pharaohs, the Templars, that they founded Switzerland, and the famous Templars treasure went into Switzerland. So I'm talking about all these things, and so yeah, they started terrorizing me because of this, and my life is really in danger because I'm talking about this. I can't hear you now.
Unmute, Joe.
Am I right to...
Yeah.
Are you a doctor?
Yeah, I study history, yeah.
Am I right? Did you go into the army?
Yeah, I was in the army, and I was in the war in Angola, Namibia, and a lot of other wars, and so I deserted. Oh, there's another guy now.
Hey, Jabba.
Hi, Jabba.
Hey, Shad. How are you?
Surviving.
Yeah, well.
I found my connection today. I don't know if you saw the message I sent you today.
Okay. So Jabba is part of this.
Yeah, this is the radio you had to come on Monday, almost 3 weeks ago.
I knew Darkcity. It somewhere rang a bell when I heard it again. So that was it.
That was it.
Man.
Nice to have you on the radio, bro.
Yeah, bro.
Well, if you have any questions, Jabba, please jump in and join us.
Yeah. I was watching around the different symbols we have here in Switzerland in the entries of the houses, right? We have the ball, we have the different symbols. Can you explain these different grades of symbols? Because I saw different ones, and I wonder what the different stuff mean.
Well, the best thing is to watch the Pharaoh show. It's on my channel, Gureh, which is G-R-U-R-E-H, and the other channel is C-H-A-T-Z-E-F-R-A-T-Z on YouTube.
YouTube.
Yeah. So because the images are there, and I don't have the images right here. So that's the best thing to do. Just click on the Pharaoh show and Octagon, the Empire of Darkness. But well, the images are there because in the Middle Ages, you know, there was no internet, there was no phone, and so the enemy within, they had a completely different way of contacting each other and organizing. So they had secret symbols on the fronts of the houses, like the sun hieroglyph. There's almost nobody who knows it except from them. So that meant in the Middle Ages, if there's an army passing by, it meant don't destroy the house, don't kill the people inside. You can kill all the Europeans around, that's no problem. So that's why they have all these symbols on the houses, and they're still using it today. It's being used in the logos of enterprises. They use it, and yeah,
companies.
It's another important thing that actually the Templars, they were no monks. Most people say that the Templars, they are monks, but a monk doesn't do these sort of things. A monk, he prays and he fastens and things like that. And
it's like you say, it's the enemy from within.
It's the enemy within, yeah. Where is he getting that from? Is he a member?
He's Jabba.
Is Bob? Is he a member or what?
Bob, what's going on? What's going on, Bob?
We were given all this. I've got all the full regalia. I'll get them out as you're doing your show. I'll show them you. I was given them off another member of. Excuse me. I was dancing around with their regalia on. Yeah, we were given these off another member of the Darkcity, whose father was a 33. Or was it grandfather? Excuse me. One of the two was a 33-degree Mason. So we've got all this here, and it's been handed over to me so we can have a look through it. So yeah, and I'm ridiculing them. Excuse me.
Well, actually, about the Masons, very simplified. The pharaohs, they never disappeared. It's the pharaohs. That's why it's said in the Bible that the pharaoh and his army, they disappeared in the sea. But of course, the sea never opened. That means they disappeared in the sea of peoples. They are within us. You know, they're here. And the pharaohs, they became the aristocracy. That's why, if I translate the word aristocracy, like Aryan, it's A, which means big or pregnant, and then there's Ri, R-I, like an aristocracy or Aryan. That means the sun, like the sun god Amun-Ra. And so it means pregnant of the sun. So that means they came out of the sun. So they're probably not even from this planet. Coming back to the Anunnaki things. And it's the pharaohs who became the aristocracy. And we were completely owned by the aristocracy. They could kill us, they could rape us, our women. There was the first right, or the prime noctus, where they could just take our women on their first wedding night and say, well, you have to sleep with the Lord. And this is how they spread their pharaonic genetics. So, and later on in history, because there were more and more people not accepting it, what the aristocracy was doing, especially the Ruskies, they killed all the Tsars, and so they had to hide. So the Freemasons, they started to hide in the The aristocracy, they started to hide in Freemasonry lodges. And that's also because of the fact that there were more and more of them. First there was just a couple of kings and dukes and all that, but the king, he wanted to stay king for the rest of his life, and there were more and more coming. And he even wanted to pass it on to his son, and so there was a whole lineage of them. But there were more and more pharaohs, young pharaohs and all that, and they wanted to be the king as well. So there were a lot of wars coming up, and we had to fight them though. We had to bleed, not them. And after hundreds of years of wars, like in the Middle Ages, they finally came together and said, well, we can't go on like this because we destroy everything we made. And so one of them said, well, we have to find a new system that any one of us can be the king for 4 years. And this is how democracy started. And then they decided how to do it. They said, well, but who's going to vote for the king for 4 years? And they said, well, we have the stupid people, or the demos in Greek. And this is how democracy started. And with these kings and queens, or the aristocracy, there was a rule, and there still is a rule, that only the first son will get everything. The castle, the concubines, the land, the power, the cattle, everything. For the second or the third or the fourth son, and I'm not even talking about the daughters, there was absolutely nothing. And for them, there was a tradition to go into a monastery. And in the monastery, there were at a certain point, there were so many of them that they got together in the monastery and said, well, we are pharaonic and aristocratic descent as well. And so we're entitled to have our own kingdom. But for a kingdom, you need a lot of money. So they decided to go on the crusades and rob the money together. And so they told the Europeans, well, listen, there's this holy city called Jerusalem, and there's Jesus and his grandmother. They're all living there, and we have to save them from the Muslims and the devil. So just as the NATO said, well, Saddam Hussein is having weapons of mass destruction. So they had a military backup of these stupid Europeans, just the soldiers. And the aim was not Jerusalem. The aim was the pyramids and the pharaonic treasures, the gold and everything. So they and it is well known that the 7th and the 8th and the 13th, I think, crusade, the aim really was Egypt. And the moment they get there, they had their treasure together. They betrayed the Europeans, the English and the Germans and the French. They betrayed them to the Muslims and to Saladin, and they went off to Switzerland. And the Swiss, by the way, they financed Adolf Hitler as well from 1923 on. On my channel, I've got a very rare picture of Adolf being in Zurich, where there was a Swiss general called Ulrich Wille, and he financed Adolf Hitler from 1923 on. So the Nazis are, in fact, the Templars. I call them the Nazi Templars. I mean, Switzerland had only 5 tanks. Germany had 75,000 tanks. So anybody wants to tell me that Switzerland was a real problem to invade? Well, no, not really. So actually these Templars, there were no monks. They were the aristocracy. And,
Can you talk about also the pyramid in 3D and in 2D maybe? There is also a video on your channel where you show how we come from the pyramid to the Templar's cross.
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah. Very good job, Art. So if you picture a pyramid and you visualize it in 3D, and if you push it down and unfold it, you get the Templar's cross. And so this is the proof that the Templars are of pharaonic descent, and also the whole aristocracy is of pharaonic descent. And if you draw a line around the Templars cross, you get an octagonal shape. It's called octagon. And the same line you can draw around a Swiss cross, getting the octagon as well. Well, if you go outside, Joe, and you look at the policeman's badge in London or wherever you are, you see an octagonal shape on his bobby hat. Well, this is octagon. The police, they are the knights of the Templars. Well, not all of them know, but most of them know. And most of the policemen are Freemasons, actually. It's not many people who know this. It's the blue octagon army inside against us, the Europeans, and the world, and the total world population. That's how they do it. And these Templars, they rule the whole world, actually. There was a little girl in America, and she found out that every American president is related to an English king who lived like 800 years ago. Plantagenet. And except one president, his name was Van Buren. All the rest, they are aristocratic. So the aristocracy never disappeared, nowhere. Even Hitler, in the Führer bunker, and he had a painting of his biggest hero, which was Frederick the Great, and the Germans called him Fritz the Faggot, because of his obvious hobbies he had with man. And so behind that as well is the aristocracy. And the same thing in England. You know, the Second World War started actually on the 1st of September 1939 with the invasion of Poland. And because England and France, they had a defensive treaty with Poland. Wait a minute, just something happened here with, so there was a defensive treaty with Poland, and Hitler knew perfectly well that 2 days later, England and France, they had to declare war on Germany. But in fact, it was Hitler who declared war on England and to France, because he knew perfectly well of this treaty with Germany. So England and France just acknowledged the declaration of war of Mr. Hitler. Then nothing happened for almost a year, 8 months. Nothing happened until May the 10th, 1940, the real day the bullets started flying. So what happened on May 10th? Well, the Prime Minister of England, Mr. Neville Chamberlain, he resigned because he was very sick. He had a cancer. And so Mr. Churchill, who was not elected by the English people or the British people, he was set on the post of a Prime Minister by the King, by King George VI. So this is why they waited for 8 months, because Mr. Churchill is aristocratic as well. His father is the Duke of Marlborough, and he was born in the Blenheim Palace. So and Mr. Neville Chamberlain, he was a very peaceful man with the appeasement strategy. He was trying to keep peace, which he managed to do so for almost a year, 8 months. And only a few hours after Mr. Churchill, he became the Prime Minister of Britain, the war started. So they were really waiting for this warmonger of the aristocracy to be set in place. And Mr. Churchill, he loved concentration camps, as he helped to murder 28,000 Boer children and mostly children and women in South Africa during the Boer Wars. So this is also the reason they never bombed Mr. Churchill and the RAF. They never bombed the railway tracks going to the German concentration camps, because this guy was a concentration camp lover, Mr. Churchill was. Yeah. So this is all the aristocracy behind it. And the Jews had to go, and the Russians, 25 million Russians had to die, because they killed the Tsars and their family. And this was the price to pay for it. This is the reason why Nazism really started, actually, as an answer to what happened in Russia.
And Tsar also means sir, right? Or what is
Yeah,
the relation?
Good question, Jabba. The Tsar, it means the king in the Demotic or the Pharaonic language, as in a sarcophagus. A sarcophagus is a box to put the king in when he's dead. And yeah, the word sir in English, yes sir, or we hope some more no sir in this case. It comes from the word sire, and sire also means Tsar, of course, just as the family Windsor, it's also Tsar, just as Caesar, and the word Tsar, it is the German word Kaiser is also from Caesar. Caesar was the king of Rome. And then we had Sarkozy, was the king of France. Even the word monsieur in French, it means monsieur, it means my king. It's a very polite way to address somebody. And then there was Salazar, he was the dictator in Portugal. There was Nebuchadnezzar, he was the king of Babylon. They're all pharaohs. They never disappeared. And it's them who became the aristocracy, and now the aristocracy, they're hiding in a thing they call democracy or democratatorship or something like that. And they're hiding in Freemasonry lodges. And that's why they're so interested in swords and costumes and castles, because they are the aristocracy, the Freemasons are. And that's why you have a number on your passport, which means that you belong to the aristocracy. We belong to them in the Middle Ages, and we still belong to them.
And you also have a P on the passport. That means pauper.
Yeah, you explained me once. I don't know so much about that. Yeah, well, it has to do with it. Yeah, we're just the paupers. Yeah, they are the kings and queens, and we are their slaves. We actually are. But they are afraid of us, especially since the Russian Revolution. They are afraid of us because we are more. And so that's why they started to hide in Freemason lodges. Yeah.
Can you talk about the relation between Ku Klux Klan, Egypt, Templars, and Switzerland?
Yeah, good question, Jabba. Thank you. In the Swiss Parliament, they have a like in French, the motto is liberté, fraternité, égalité. And the Swiss, they have the KKK as a motto, which is compromise, consens, and concordance, which is written in German with a K, so that gets into KKK. And within the on top of the inside the Swiss Parliament, they call it Bundeshaus, it says the Freemason saying in Latin, all for one and one for all, just like in the film The Three Musketeers of Alexandre Dumas, which was in fact the favorite writer of the French President Mitterrand, who constructed who had the pyramid in front of the Louvre constructed. Yeah, coming back to the KKK, so the logo of the KKK is a Swiss cross, a white cross on a red underground. And so the Ku Klux Klan, it doesn't mean anything in English. It's not Latin either. So what does it mean? Well, the clan, yes, the clan we understand, that's a tribe. But Ku, it's coming from the German word a cow. They just camouflaged it and took away the H. Klux, it's from the German word Glocke. It means the bells. So then what is this cowbell clan? And actually most of the Swiss and Germans who emigrated to the States, they went into the southern states. That's why the American Civil War was a pre-First World War, actually. The Germans against the English and the Irish, actually. So what is this cowbell clan? Well, in Switzerland, every cow has a bell around her neck, and that is very Machiavellic, and it's total control. And that means the farmer knows at any moment, where's my cow and what is he doing? In other words, the Ku Klux Klan, where's the damn nigger and what is he doing? Excuse me the expression, my black brothers, because I don't think like that, but I just want to express the way the other ones, these racists and the Swiss, how they think, actually. And in Switzerland, they even have prisons, which are called the Cowbells Clan. I was in one of them. It was called Schellametley. And Schelle, that means to sound, and Metley, that's the meadow. And Schellametley, that's a cowbell. So they even call their prisons like this. So the Swiss Nazis, they know at every moment where is the damn foreigner in the prison and what is he doing. It's the same technique and energy behind it as the Ku Klux Klan, actually. And in Switzerland, there's the biggest Nazi party, which is the SVP Nazi party, and it's really like being in the 30s in Germany. They show foreigners here as black sheep, as black crows, as all sort of animals. It's really very bad, and a lot of foreigners have been tortured in Swiss torture detention centers. And the Swiss, apparently, they can do what they want because they're protected by the Freemasons all over. This is the center, you know. Could you please turn Bob off? He's distracting me with all his things there, you know. It's funny though, but yeah, thank you. Bye, Bob. See you later. All the time, you know, I'm trying to concentrate and I see this bloke there doing all these things there, you know. It is funny though, Bob, but yeah, well, we have a beer over it one day maybe.
Yeah, the TV will come soon then.
Anyway, you're all invited here to come and visit me. Even Bob. Yeah.
To show him his the Freemason stuff. And another question is, we see all these symbols, or at least here in Switzerland, we see more symbols on old buildings, and not that much on new buildings like malls and stuff. But I hear from Australia that the new buildings are all built like in this kind of shape. Do you know something about that?
Well, they don't have any old buildings in Australia in the first place. Not that old as here. So, well, I've seen in Switzerland, I've seen new buildings having all the symbolism on it, but it's more the old buildings. Yeah, but so, I've seen new buildings as well.
But you think it's still the same family who live in these houses, or this one or now it changed and they put their symbols and their stuff somewhere else?
No, I don't think there can be entirely different people living in it because they own everything, you know, these pharaohs, and so they rented it out to other people. But before they did live in it. It's the same with the aristocracy, you know, before they lived in their castles and all that, and now they're doing, and like in Switzerland, most of the castles, they've been turned into prisons. And they live in a nice mansion somewhere, you know. So it doesn't have to be that the people, the houses where there is this symbology on it that the pharaohs are really living there. Are you still there? Because I can't see anything anymore.
We are here. We just mute the microphone when we don't talk.
Yeah, good. Yeah, well, it's the third time in my life I'm Skyping, you know, so I'm the older generation with grey hair, and I'm not very well with computers.
Yeah, can you explain how you do your movies? Because I wonder sometimes, I know that you don't really edit the movies. So when you are filming, you just stop the cam and you continue on the next place, and you talk straight over the movies. You do them also in a different language. Can you say how you do these movies?
Yeah, I can't edit. I never learned it. You know, a couple of years ago, I never even had made an email. It's that bad. And yeah, well, I just squeezed. I just pushed the button on my video camera, and I just talk over it when I'm filming. And then I upload it. That's all I can do. Yeah. Simple as that.
It's simple as that, but yeah, when you talk over the movie and stuff, you reflect before you just see it and you talk over it. It's and also you say you found a function on YouTube where you can put the movies together, so you can make the longer movies. I see a couple of them. I think it's quite amazing. Also, I know how you do them. Many people they know way more, and they don't know how to do this kind of movie. So congratulations.
Yeah, it's my 13-year-old son. Well, he was even 12 or 11 at the time. He showed me how to glue the parts together on with the video editor of YouTube. So all these short pieces, I did them together, yeah. And if I'm outside filming, I just talk and I don't read it. But if I'm inside, I make a script or a screenplay. That's very necessary. Otherwise, you know, it takes too long. You know, you start talking like all the time in between it, and then it gets boring. You know, and it gets about 3 times as long. So it's very necessary, if you can, like filming inside, make a script or a screenplay and write it down first, so it goes quick. I mean, there's so much stuff going on YouTube. And you don't want to see a film where it's going like, oh, let me think, and all the other words that don't have anything to do with it, you know. But of course, outside, that's very difficult, so outside I don't. Yeah. And because I'm very bad with computers, I've got a good camera, which is an HD Sony. And I just film the screen, and well, that works out okay.
Yeah, and a very good zoom also, and quite amazing the zoom you have when you put around the different symbols on the places. I start to make, like I told you, a little Pharaoh show, but I didn't say a word. I maybe will send you the film when it's finished, and I let you talk over it.
Yeah, okay, why not? Yeah,
why not?
Yeah, actually, I want to tell you about this American spy. There's a lot of talking about this spy, Edward Snowden.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. Well, inside the word Edward, Edwar, and Snow now, there's a code. It says war now, and he had this username in the internet, and it said the true hua, and hua, that's an expression of an American ranger. It means yes sir, copy sir, I'll execute sir. So that brings all together war now, hua. So that means war now, yes sir, copy sir, I'll do it sir. So there is a encoded message in there, and I mean, this is a psyop of the financial elite, because not all people in the CIA are bad. Neither are they in the MI6. There are some good people in there. Well, very few, I have to admit. I'm not, you know, yeah. So the assignment of Mr. Edward Snowden was in Geneva, and he was spying on the banks. And that's why it is a psyop of the financial elite to stop the CIA and the NSA from doing so and sniffing and putting their noses too far into Swiss bank accounts where the world financial elite are having their money stashed, you know. So it's all about stopping the CIA and stopping the handful of good guys who are trying to bring down the Swiss banks and the Nazi banks, you know. And the ones who are really in control, they want to stop this. And that's why there's so much talk about it in the media. And the media belongs to them. You know, normally they don't talk about human rights. And at this level, they don't care a damn about human rights. So why all of a sudden they're all talking about human rights and our privacy? A thing, you know, on the internet we don't have privacy for, you know, well, as long as it exists. I mean, they've been looking at putting their noses in our affairs and everything. Phones are being tapped. So why all of a sudden there's so much fuss about it? So that's quite fishy, isn't it? And it's going on for weeks, or what is it, a month or so? So
and it's also to see that all what he is saying is like is scandals that are coming out right since 2003. There's one every year about this whole NSA surveillance programs that is coming out. It's like nothing new that he is saying right now, and so promoted by the media is very strange. I fully agree with you.
It is, and this guy is not a whistleblower. You know, a whistleblower goes against the Swiss Nazi banks and the financial elite. This guy is on the side of the financial elite, and he's protecting the Swiss banks. So this is not a thing what a whistleblower does. You know, he's against the people. I mean, the financial elite, that's not the people who he's defending. That's the aristocracy and the pharaohs. So he's not at all at our side, he is. But maybe he doesn't even know this. I think he doesn't even know this. You know, he's, but on the other hand, he's far too smooth, you know, a smooth talker for a 29-year-old. He's far too smooth the way he's talking on television. And he knows all the answers, you know, it's like an actor. The whole thing is an act. And we really have to see through it. And I tell you what's coming up next. Hitler, he did the same thing, you know. It's called the Night of the Long Knives. Well, inside the CIA, it's completely, it's completely, infiltrated by Octagon, which started in 1945 with the paperclip thing, where they took out all the mass murderers and SS and Gestapo, and they got them into the CIA. But there still are a handful of good gangs in there who don't want all this. So there will be the Night of the Long Knives coming up very soon, I think. The same way as Mr. Hitler, he kidnapped the Republic. And actually about Hitler, you know, the Reichstag's fire, the reason for it is this. I made a video about it shortly, not long ago. Hitler, he came into power on January 30th, 1933, and the Reichstag is a symbol of the German people, actually, the democracy, if you want so, and the aristocracy behind. As Mr. Hitler's favorite hero was Frederick the Great, which the German people called Fritz the Faggot. And Fritz the Faggot, he is buried in a church which is called the Garrison's Church. And so these pharaohs and around this Garrison's Church in Potsdam, which is next to Berlin, it's not in Berlin. There is the big castle, which is called Sans Souci. And in French, Sans Souci, it means no worries. Well, they don't have any worries, you know, the aristocracy. It's like the Freemasons. They are free, and we are their masons, you see. So, around this church, which is called the Garrison's Church, which is a real funny name for a church, I mean, it's connected with war and the garrison and the army. And around this church, it's full of obelisks. And this is where they wanted to have Hitler inaugurated. And that's why the Reichstag had to burn. So they burned it down a couple of weeks later. I think it was on the night of February 27th to February 28th. So they burned it down. So there was no possibility anymore to have Hitler inaugurated at the symbol of the German people. So they had him inaugurated next to the obelisk of the center of the Prussian aristocracy, of the where the Emperor Frederick the Great also lived. So this was very important for these pharaohs to have Hitler inaugurated at this very spot, and this is why the Reichstag had to burn. I made a film about it, so you can go and see it. Yeah. Are you still there?
We are still there. We are listening.
Okay.
Maybe Joel, because this is the astrology show of Joel. So I don't know if Joel want to take over for the last 20 minutes maybe. And I hope, Shen, you will come on my show maybe Monday if you have time. And we will just continue. But if Joel don't have any question, I have some few.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, we can do that, Jabba. Okay.
Yeah, thanks, Jabba. I do have some questions. Like I've discovered that the Nazis had a lot to do with the Vatican. You know, well, it's all the same, you know, Masons or whatever. You get like the group, like clubs within the club, and I've noticed a lot of they're Rosicrucians, and you know, these Christian mystics that have all created this civilization we call like modern times or whatever, giving us all these buildings and lovely symbols to like question. They're Christians. Do you believe that they are bringing in revelations, biblical prophecy? I mean, what else are they doing? You know, I look at Israel, and it's just modern day crusades. But yeah, my question was about I totally forgot. But yeah, do you believe that this is biblical prophecy?
I think I'm not religious myself, you know. I don't believe in a guy up there in the clouds who can just descend and help. You know, nobody's ever seen him so far. He's doing promises the last 2,000 years. He hasn't kept any of his promises, you know. But I think prophecies are quite possible. There are things we can't explain, you know. In South Africa, we had a very big, during the Boer War, a very big prophet. His name is Sina van Rensburg. You can look it up in the internet. It's a fascinating guy. Sina van Rensburg, yeah. And I've had some funny things as well. But yeah, so I think prophecies are very possible. I mean, we know now that it was written in the Bible already more than 1,000 years ago, that the number of the beast will be made in our front head or in our hand, and this has become possible now. So how did they know this? You know, like 2,000 years ago. It is possible. And actually, John, if you have a revelation, it's not always clear to see it. It's not like Skype or YouTube, you know. You see pictures, but it's not very, very clear. So he saw the number 666. But we have to visualize it differently, because the Arab figures, 6 as a 6, they were introduced in our part of the world after the Muslim conquest, so after the 7th century. And John, he wrote the Revelations like 70 after Christ, I think it was. So this is not what he saw. First of all, if we visualize a 6, how a 6 was being written down in that time, we have to see it as a Roman 6. So a V and a 1 and a dot, V1. But if you have a revelation, it's not always clear. So what he really saw was WWW. And if you take away only one part of it, it becomes a V1. So a 6. And there was nothing else with which he could compare it with, because the Roman W, it's sort of round. It's called the unshal or something like that. So what he really saw was www, the internet. And if you want to buy and sell something, you need to have the www. It goes all through the internet. And it has become clear now there are only 2 parts in the human body where you can put the sign of the devil. And that's in your front head and at the back side of your hand. Because these are the only places in the body, they found out now, where a RFID or a chip can be seen, because the skin is thinner than anywhere else in the body. And in general about religion, well, I mean, the religion is from the priest of Amun. All religions come from the pharaohs. Islam does, Christianity does. Actually, Jesus is Horus. And they are telling us that, well, if you get hit on one side, you have to show the other side, and God will do everything for you. So this is very helpful for the ones in power. At the same time, nobody is defending himself. And if you really are religious, I mean, you can't just take God as our servant and pray and say, well, you up there, you do that for me, and have all my worries go away and solve this problem for me. Because in a religion, we, the people, we are supposed to be his servants. So we must do it. Nobody else is going to do it for us. And that's what we are trying to do here in YouTube. Nobody else is going to do it. And this is the fatalist thing in a religion, which is connected to our downfall, really. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought up the chip, because I feel that, like, if we're going to have a change in currency, it's when the monarchy, when the king gets into power, and then we'd have to change all the coins in this country, and then maybe that would probably be the catalyst, maybe. But yeah, it's like they say, it stop crime. No, with no cash flow, there's no more. I don't know. They try and sell it to us, but just got to wait and see, I guess.
Oh yeah, well the kings and queens, they're still there. They're ruling us. I mean, we were their property in the Middle Ages. The land.
The Order of the Garter.
The Order of the what?
Garter.
How do you spell that? I don't know.
Garter.
Oh, I don't know that. Never heard of that. Garter?
Yeah. They all meet up at Windsor Castle every year. Last time it was June the 17th. It was, you have to book for tickets and stuff. It's quite like a VIP exclusive sort of. I didn't get in, but they dress up like they're at a frickin' computer game convention. They've got like like black cloaks and swords and feathered hats, and it all prance about, and but the origins of it is medieval. It's from like Edward III times, and throughout history, if you look at the list, like just wiki it or whatever, you see the list of who has been part of the Order of the Garter. It's every single king and queen on the continent throughout history.
Oh,
But
wow.
it's like it's nothing new. Like, we know of Masons, and you know that's all you can know of Masons because they're secret. But I guess, you know, like we were talking about earlier, the introduction of, you know, we were talking about the media saying Snowden. Like, things are being introduced for us to banter about. And one of them is, I feel, the zeitgeist that came out in 2007. They want people to start talking about Freemasons and the more astrotheological side of things, and they're just trying to get people involved with what the Masons know about. And you got the Da Vinci Code, and just seems like they're trying to get people excited about it, or they, especially with what David Icke's doing, the Truth Movement. I believe it's got a big role to play in politics in the future. But, again, we just have to wait and see with David Icke.
There's definitely a part of them. They are making, at the moment, they are making lists, and all the people who are watching too much of these sort of things, Freemasons, and you know, who are too intelligent for the next concentration camps coming up, and they will come up in Switzerland. At the moment, they are constructing 3 of them. And the government already have given the green light for it. And also all these people who watch too much of these things and who are, you know, trying to get answers, who are too intelligent, they are the first who will end up in these concentration camps.
Yeah,
and that's why they are. Well, that's also one of the reasons they are showing these things to us, to get rid of those people who might be interested in it, and to keep all the slaves, because well, that's their main goal, to keep the slaves. And there are a lot of different lodges, and there's a lot of people talking about the Illuminati. And the Illuminati actually is just one of the lodges which appeared in a different part in the world at a different time, and there are many of them. I don't think the Illuminati are special. I mean, they all are. I think the more dangerous lodge is, in fact, a French lodge, which is called Les Neuf Sœurs, Les Neuf Sœurs. And they were the ones who gave the Statue of Liberty, which is ISIS, of course. They gave that to America after the revolution. So the Illuminati is just one of those lodges, and it's not necessarily more dangerous or less dangerous than the other ones.
It was a Druidic lodge, right?
What?
Druidic.
Yeah, that's it. It exists as well. Yeah, the Druid Lodge. I filmed it. It's a few kilometers from here. There's a Druid Lodge, and I filmed it. Yeah. At the same spot where this Les Neuf Sœurs Lodge, the Lodge of the 9 Sisters, so the Sisters of Isis, of course. And actually, the reason why we have all these wars has to do with Isis, and that's why we see on the churches IHS, which is Isis, Horus, and Set, and so I call it the Horus Matrix. And when I was filming on the Omaha Cemetery in Normandy, I don't know if you've seen that.
We're out of time.
Yeah.
They said we could not do it. They said it wasn't possible. But we did it. we created a free radio station to bring the people together and spread an alternative message from the mainstream. They tried to silence us. They tried to hack us. But we carried on. You cannot silence the truth. You cannot enslave freedom. You cannot stop a good idea. You cannot stop Dark City Radio. The crew is now eager and stronger than ever before. We will not be kept off the airwaves. We will continue. This is not our radio. This is your radio. This is Dark City Radio.
This is your Dark City. This is your Dark City.
This is your Dark City.
This is your Dark City. This is your Dark City.
This is your Dark City Radio.